The final match of week 5 is here. After taking a short hiatus and using her buffer week, Riona makes her return to the league to face Digiko in a rain versus sand showdown. Let's take a look at what they brought. Digiko's team features Raikou, Amoonguss, Toadscruel, Pelipper, Archaludon and Iron Hands. So a balanced rain team with offensive flexibility and plenty of defensive pivots. And Riona's team consists of Galarian Slowking, Goldengo, Hippowdon, Conkeldurr, Quagsire and Duraludon. A sturdy sand team focused on weather control, hazard setup and toxic pressure. This match comes down to weather control and positioning as most of these games do. If Digiko keeps rain active, her water and flying moves become incredibly hard to switch into for Riona. Archaludon's stamina lets it absorb physical hits, while Toadscruel has both hazard control and good coverage against Riona's team. On Riona's end, Hippowdon and Quagsire are her best members on the team, I think. They are her defensive backbone, and losing either one too early could be very bad for her. If Goldengo has an air balloon, this would be key too, since it blocks earth power and keeps hazard up if the game drags out. So like I said, it's all about positioning. Every turn matters in this one, and I think it's best to hop right into it. Digiko leads with Pelipper going into her rain setter immediately. Riona opens with Conkeldurr, doesn't want to stay in, immediately switches into Goldengo. We see the balloon which pops immediately since she switched into an Ice Beam. That is not good for Riona. Digiko switches out into Archaludon, predicting a Thunderbolt, I guess. Yeah, we see the Thunderbolt. That gives Archaludon stamina boost. With that, Archaludon is already +1 defense. Hippowdon comes out, eats the Earthquake like it's nothing, and Digiko doesn't want to stay in here since the sand is up. She goes into Toadscruel, predicting another Earthquake, which is good since it resists, and she's free to click a grass move now. We see Earth Power. I guess she predicted something, earthbounding 50% to Conkeldurr, and since Toadscruel is so fast, she can just click another Earth Power. Riona panics a bit and switches out into Galarian Slowking, which is part Poison type and takes 44% from this Earth Power, which is not good. If Riona had just stayed in Conkeldurr and sacrificed it, that would have been better, or she could have switched into Hippowdon. Digiko doesn't want to stay in because she probably doesn't think the Earth Power would kill. She goes into Archaludon while Riona double switches into a Hippo, and what we see here is that Riona switches into Hippo a tad too early, because in the turn they switched, it was the last sand turn. So Riona switches in her sand setter without getting up the sand, because the turn after Hippowdon entered the field, the sand stopped. This gives Digiko an opportunity to set up her own rain, which she does. Also, Pelipper is a good switch into Earthquake. And now she's free to click Weather Ball or Ice Beam. She clicks Ice Beam. One-shots Hippo here. And this is a very good situation for Digiko to be in. Toadscruel is a switch into Goldengo because she doesn't have to fear the Thunderbolt. Toadscruel is faster now and clicks Earth Power. Riona sacrifices her Goldengo, and with both of her offensive Pokemon being low, this doesn't look good. Quagsire goes for the Terra Grass here, uses Toxic on the switch in Raikou, setting Raikou on a timer. However, with Quagsire losing the ground type, Digiko is free to click a fast Volt switch here. She goes into Amoonguss, and I don't think there's anything that Quagsire can do against Amoonguss here. Riona sets a layer of spikes, gets toxicked. And now begins a very slow game, I think. Earthquake does 22%, which is enough for Amogus to heal. Sludge Bomb does even more since it's super effective now. And the best thing for Digiko to do is just Synthesis here. She switches out into Pelipper. Riona uses Recover, but Digiko can just Hurricane here, killing everything except for Akaludon on Riona's team. Digiko still has 6 Pokemon left, while Riona is down to 3. Hurricane doesn't kill the Galarian Slowking, but a second Hurricane will, and the only thing Riona does is click Toxic here, which is not very offensive. It's a rather passive play. She finally switches into her Akaludon, which takes 49% from this Hurricane. So this is definitely not a V. Draco Meteor is enough to kill Pelipper, but Digiko can just safely go out into Raikou here. She uses Shadow Ball. Okay. I didn't see that coming. Draco Meteor does nothing. So another Shadow Ball will be enough. Riona has to switch out into Conkeldurr and gets crit with the Shadow Ball. That's unfortunate, but this didn't really matter since Raikou is faster than Conkeldurr, and Conkeldurr would have died in the next turn anyway. With Raikou clicking Shadow Ball here, this game is pretty much over because it's super effective against Galarian Slowking, and as we saw, Raikou is faster. Riona switches out into Rolodon because she doesn't want to lose Galarian Slowking yet, gets another Regenerator boost in. This kills Raikou, and Toadscruel is Digiko's Pokemon of choice. Riona chose Galarian Slowking. You see an Earth Power here, almost killing Galarian Slowking, and this is probably the last turn. The second Earth Power killing Galarian Slowking, and with that Digiko won this match. Digiko takes it with a clean performance, and I think the tone was set on turn 1 when Pelipper's Ice Beam popped Goldengo's Air Balloon, because that opened the door for Toadscruel to sweep later. Of course, Hippowdon's Earthquake was completely nullified by Digiko switching into Pelipper, who responded with an Ice Beam instantly killing Hippowdon and flipping the weather advantage into Digiko's favor immediately. From there, Toadscruel removed Goldengo, Amogus landed Toxic on the Terrestrialized Quagsire, and Pelipper did the rest. Riona's defensive core broke apart piece by piece. This was textbook rain control. Digiko identified Toadscruel as a win condition early and played towards it without overextending anything. For Riona, this was a tough return match after her short hiatus. Her defensive reads were solid, but the early weather swing and the loss of her defensive core left her boxed in with no room to recover, and I think she also panicked a bit. With this match, week 5 officially comes to a close, and we can continue focusing on week 6. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next videos.